All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. You ready to dive in?
Oh, absolutely. Always ready for a good deep dive.
I am pumped for this one. Today, we are going deep on just one source, Psalm 34. But
Oh, good one.
it is so rich, so much to unpack here.
Yeah.
And I think even if, you're not someone who's super familiar with religious texts or anything,
Right.
this song is still so relevant. It's about facing challenges, finding hope.
Mm.
And, I mean, who doesn't deal with that?
And absolutely. It's a universal theme for
Yeah.
people.
So we're going to be breaking down some really interesting ideas. Like, what does it mean to taste and see that the Lord is good?
Mm.
What's the deal with all this talk about protecting your bones?
Right, right.
And we'll see how, how some of this ancient wisdom can actually apply to our lives today.
I think what's really cool is that Psalm 34 isn't just for people who, consider themselves religious.
Yeah.
It's got this practical wisdom that I think anyone can benefit from.
Okay.
It's almost like, a guide for being resilient, finding strength when things get tough.
Okay. I am hooked.
And
Let's
fun.
jump in.
Yeah.
So the psalm starts right off the bat, verses 1 through 3,
Okay.
all about praise and gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
And the psalmist is like seriously overflowing with thankfulness. It says, I will bless the Lord at all times. His praise shall continually be in my mouth.
Wow.
That is commitment.
That's dedication.
What do you think is behind that? Like, where is that coming from?
I think it really speaks to a deep trust in something bigger than yourself.
Okay.
Like, imagine you're facing a really tough situation,
Yeah.
but instead of freaking out, you decide to focus on what you're grateful for.
Okay.
It's like this mental shift that allows you to tap into, like a source of strength and hope.
Oh, interesting.
And actually, there's even modern research that shows that practicing gratitude can actually have like real benefits for your mental health.
Huh. So it's not just some kind of like religious duty.
Right.
It's about like actively choosing a mindset that helps you through. Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
Now, things get really interesting in verses 4 through 7,
Okay.
where the psalmist talks about seeking refuge in God and finding deliverance from fear.
Mm.
And there's this really powerful image. The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him, and he delivers them.
Ooh, I love that imagery.
It's pretty epic.
Right, like a superhero movie or something.
Yeah.
But I think it speaks to that very human need for, safety
Yeah.
and protection. It's like, think about, a kid clinging to their parent
Right.
or someone finding comfort in a supportive community. We all want that feeling of security, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this verse is saying that, like, turning to a higher power can give you that kind of comfort when you're struggling.
Like having a guardian angel looking out for you.
Yeah, exactly.
That is a nice thought. Very comforting. Okay, this next verse is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Verse 8 says, oh, taste and see that the Lord is good. It's not just telling you to believe it. It's like it's inviting you to experience it.
Yes.
What do you think about this sensory language?
I love that verse. It's like saying, don't just take my word for it. You got to try it for yourself.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Like, think about the first time you tasted chocolate or you saw like a breathtaking sunset.
Oh, yeah.
It's about those aha moments.
Yes.
Where you're like, wow, this is amazing. That feeling of like discovering truth for yourself.
It's like the difference between reading about something and actually going through it.
Exactly.
Okay, now verses 9 and 10 bring up the fear of the Lord. That might sound kind of scary to some people,
Right.
but it's not about being terrified, is it?
No, not at all. This fear is more about like deep respect and awe.
Okay.
Like recognizing that there's something much greater than yourself
Right.
and wanting to, live your life in a way that's aligned with that higher power.
Mm.
And the psalm contrasts those who fear the Lord with young lions, who it says lack and suffer hunger.
Interesting.
It's like it's saying that living in accordance with these, divine principles leads to this feeling of fullness and satisfaction.
Okay.
While those who reject those principles, they might end up feeling empty and unfulfilled.
It's like there's two paths you can choose, and they lead to very different outcomes.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm with you. Now, the song gets super practical in verses 11 through 14.
Mm-hmm.
It's like an ancient self-help book or something.
Oh, all right.
It says, keep your tongue from evil. Depart from evil and do good. Seek peace and pursue it.
Such good advice.
That's like solid advice for communication, for relationships, for life in general.
Absolutely. These principles are timeless, and I think it's really interesting to think about like how that applies to, say, the way we communicate online these days. Like, imagine if we all took a moment to think about keep your tongue from evil. before we post something, online.
Ooh, that's a good point.
How much negativity could we avoid? It's a
Oh.
reminder that our words really have power.
It's like a digital detox for the soul.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So now the tone shifts a bit in verses 15 to 22. And there's a big emphasis on uh, divine justice and protection.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty straightforward, saying that the wicked will be punished
Right.
and the righteous will be saved from their troubles.
Yeah, and I think this section really emphasizes the consequences of our choices.
Okay.
It suggests that there's this, universal fairness where doing good leads to positive outcomes and doing bad things, well, you face the consequences.
Okay.
But what I find really interesting is the part about God preserving all his bones.
Yeah, what do you think that means? It seems like more than just physical safety, right?
Right. I think it's about protecting our core, our spirit, our inner strength.
Hmm.
Even when we're going through hard times, there's this part of us that stays strong, unbroken.
Okay.
We might get hurt or knocked down.
Yeah.
But our spirit, our resilience, it remains.
Wow. That's a really powerful way to think about it.
Yeah.
So taking a step back and looking at Psalm 34 as a whole,
Mm-hmm.
we've talked about the power of gratitude,
Right.
finding comfort in something bigger than ourselves, living ethically,
Yes.
and the idea that, there's a force out there protecting those who are good.
It's a lot to think about for sure.
It is. And I think it leaves us with a question.
Okay.
If this song was written today,
Mm-hmm.
who would be those young lions that are, lacking and suffering hunger?
Hmm.
What in our lives, is like that search for real sustenance, for real fulfillment.
That's a great question to leave our listeners with.
It is. It's something for all of us to think about.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, everyone. Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive. I hope you found it meaningful and thought-provoking. And until next time, keep seeking that true sustenance and fulfillment.
And keep those bones protected.
Yes.